If you do go on to enjoy today's video, do me a favour and hit that like button and of course subscribe to the channel for more daily content. And if you need any coins for Ultimate Team to get a head start on the game, head to the link in the description, use the code TVM for a discount at checkout. What is going on, guys? TVM here. Welcome back to a brand new video. And I mean, let's be honest, this is a little bit of fun because there is absolutely no way anyone in their right mind can predict this and get more than a couple correct. It is icon swaps predictions. We are going to look through a few of the possibles, starting off with DECO. This is the mid DECO, I believe. There's always one in there for 6 tokens. It's usually a goalkeeper, but as they've given us Van der Sar already, Schmeichel, they gave out last time they did swaps. I'm going to go with DECO. Let's move on to Alan Shearer. This is the mid Alan Shearer as well. Again, not a card that many would be too excited to pick up, unless you are, of course, a Newcastle or Blackburn fan. But even then, would you really be that interested in picking him up in game? 8 tokens, I think, is very reasonable for the mid Alan Shearer. Let's move on to the prime. And our first prime, Jari Litmanen. 8 tokens. Is that too few? Maybe 10 tokens for a prime. But his mid is 88 rated, right? And it's not a terrible card. It's just not good enough, I don't think. So for them to give that as an 8 token reward is a little bit on the low side. I've gone with the prime. And we've gone with LAUDRUP. I think this is the mid LAUDRUP, who, I mean, giving his prime would be, I think he's a 91 at least, if not even a 92. That would be too much for 8 tokens. So I went with the mid. It's not a terrible card, maybe more of a central card than anything else. Moving on to KOEMAN. This, of course, is the base, but if we went for the mid, it would be a little bit too expensive for 9 tokens. So we've gone with the base. I mean, ironically, even the base KOEMAN is probably the same, if not a little bit more expensive than the first 4 cards that I've shown. And Litmanen, of course, doesn't have his prime on the market just yet, but that's not going to be expensive. Moving on to Mark Overmars. This is the mid Mark Overmars, and they all coincide with price. They're all sort of gradually creeping up. You know, I'm not going to put any card in here that is significantly cheaper than the previous card. So Overmars, a little bit more than KOEMAN, 88 rated, not the most desirable card in the game, sure, but 11 tokens I think would be fair. Petr Cech, 88 rated. This is, of course, the mid. I think it's the mid Petr Cech. 12 tokens. Would you pay 12 tokens for a goalkeeper? Personally, I wouldn't. However, EA know that there are some hardcore fans out there, and I'm sure a hardcore Chelsea or indeed Arsenal fan would be very interested in this card. Speaking of Chelsea and Arsenal fans, I don't know why his head looks like a peanut in that picture, because it's not sized correctly, basically. I don't know why. Footbin have completely ruined it. However, we're not here to talk about the image. 12 tokens for the 89 Cole. That is the prime, and it looks like a very good card, very good option for 12 tokens. Don't mind if I do. Moving on to Henrik Larsson, and of course this is the prime as well. This would be the final token, or the final card you could get using tokens from the first set. If they do it like they did last time, they would do 12 tokens in the first set, and then after you complete them, you've got to wait until they release the second set, which is another 12 tokens. So is Larsson one that you'd want to work for? I know NAKATA isn't exactly an icon that everyone would like go out and buy if they had the option or even want to pack, but the prime NAKATA isn't that bad, and with only 14 tokens, I say only, still a lot, but still, 14 tokens for a prime NAKATA isn't actually that bad. Start moving on to some of the not more known, because everyone knows who NAKATA is, but GATTUSO, definitely a usable, much more usable card. And this again is the prime for 14 tokens. I can definitely see EA throwing GATTUSO in there some way or another. These aren't the cards that I want, by the way. These are the cards I expect EA to be giving us. Don't think that I want these. Pirlo for 15 tokens for the 90, which is of course the mid. And again, these are all scaled in price. Pirlo is in and around the same price as GATTUSO. He's less than our next guy. And it just sort of all gradually goes up. The top 2 cards, by the way, are worth just shy of 2 million. I think that's a little bit too ambitious, but you never know. Moving on to HAGI for 15 tokens as well. So probably roughly on the same price as the Andrea Pirlo, but it's definitely a card that I think a few people would go for, especially Romanians. You know, I mean, if you're not Romanian, you don't know about it. If maybe you're from England or a country that has a lot of icons, maybe you don't feel the attachment. But I'm like, again, with Davor Suker as well, if you're Croatian, you've only got one option of an icon, and if you're Romanian, you've only got one option as well, you are more than likely going to be drawn to those type of players. I know I am with Ian Rush, not so much Giggs because don't like Giggs, but you know what I mean. I'm Welsh, Ian Rush, I'm drawn to him rather. Vidic for 16 tokens would be probably one of the best choices that you could make. He's a card that doesn't really have a compromise, you know, like some of these cards, oh, they've got a bad weak foot or they're not too meta or anything like that, but Vidic is just an unbelievably good centre-back, links to everyone, of course, because they're icons. Trezeguet with his prime coming in at 17 tokens would be a very high-rated icon, and of course, primes aren't out yet, so it's difficult to predict how many primes EA will drop, but I've gone for the, you know, cards like Henrik Larsson and NAKATA and things like that. I've gone for their primes because they're not likely to be expensive. Rivaldo, unfortunately, with his 2-star weak foot, looks exciting, but then when you go and dive a little bit deeper and read into it a little bit more, 2-star weak foot, it's going to turn a lot of people off. 17 tokens for his, what I believe is a mid card. Is this the mid? Surely not. This has to be the prime, right? I don't know why. I built this myself. Made everything myself, and I still can't remember. This is the mid Rivaldo. So Nedved is the next card. Nedved is very expensive for any version, to be fair. So I've gone with the mid because there's no way the prime is going to be cheap. Absolutely no way. This represents an icon pack. EA normally throw this in here somewhere. I say this represents an icon pack. I know it doesn't actually look like an icon pack, but I couldn't get the image properly for some reason. So 18 tokens, probably a base icon. Zambrotta's 89 rated card, which is actually his prime. It's too cheap to throw in his 87. I would probably normally have put in Zanetti here. However, he's already available as an SBC, so that's highly unlikely. This would be a very good option, though. I think he was available in the first... Was it last year that we had it? Baresi. His 93 is, of course, the prime version, and I know I'm throwing in a lot of primes. Whether EA will do that or not, I don't know, but Baresi's not an expensive centre-back. He's not a particularly good centre-back, which is why I think EA will throw him in. Now, I couldn't get the individual David Beckham card, otherwise I probably would have thrown in the 87 here. David Beckham comes into the game tomorrow, likely to be a very expensive card right from the beginning. I mean, he's playing catch-up to the rest of the icons first and foremost, so he's going to need to be packed quite a lot. But also, because it's brand new and he's David Beckham, it's likely to be expensive. I know we get a free one, but that's not until January. I can see EA putting the 87 in. Fernando Torres' 88 rated card is very expensive in this game. The base Fernando Torres is around 700k, so the 88 I think goes for about 1.2, 1.3. Yeah, 1.3. Very expensive, but definitely something I can see EA doing for a very high number of tokens. And I've gone with Eric Cantona as the top card. I did toy with Thierry Henry, but I think Eric Cantona might be a slightly more... Not viable, but I think... Because he's new, and I think EA will try and cram in as many new icons as they can. That's why I went with David Beckham, Fernando Torres, Cantona, of course, like Petr Cech and Cole introduced in there as well. I think EA will try, mix it up a little bit, try and get all the new ones in there, and to try and get people to choose those. The base Eric Cantona is worth around 1.8 to 2 million coins. It's a very expensive icon. However, you need nearly all the tokens to get him. And then, of course, it's only the base version. There is still a 90 and a 93 to come as well. And if they do moments, probably a 94 or 95. So even though you are working for what is a very expensive card in that 88 Eric Cantona, there's going to be better versions out imminently. So I could definitely see EA doing it. I hope they do. And how many of you would go for him? Would you work pretty much, 2 months to get an 88 rated Eric Cantona? I don't know if I would. I mean, it's a good card and all. It's very expensive, but it's a lot of work to put in for an 88 rated card that in 2 months may or may not be outdated. Let me know what you think of the selection. I really hope EA don't choose half of these, to be fair, but I have tried to sort of sweeten it a little bit with some primes. It'll be interesting to see what EA do, that is for sure. If you could have one player in swaps, who would it be and which version? Base, mid, or prime? Let me know in the comments. If you have enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for new, and until the next time, goodbye.
Join the Betting Rebellion and find out what your football knowledge is really worth.